Hey, this is Joel. Welcome to my warehouse, and in today's video, I'm going to be telling you about the Sunfire Radiant Heaters. These are amazing diesel or kerosene powered heaters. This is the SF120, and it comes in three different models. The 120 is 120,000 BTUs, the SF80, 80,000 BTUs, and the SF150 is 150,000 BTUs. And I chose this size because I have a warehouse that's about 2,500 square foot, and this is rated up to 2,800 square feet. And let me tell you, it puts out some amazing heat. So let's start by going over all the features of this heater, why I like it, and why I think you're gonna really enjoy it if you pick it up for yourself. Let me just say thank you to Sunfire for supplying this heater for me to review. I really love the fact that they're an American company right in Wisconsin. You can trust the build quality, and let me tell you, the build quality is fantastic. And so the basics of how this works, there is a flame inside this megaphone type area with a blower behind that will blow out heat, but it also radiates heat from the flame. It's a very efficient use of the fuel. 99% of the fuel that this thing uses burns into heat, so that's why there's no carbon monoxide output, and it's very safe to use inside. So down here on the bottom, we have the fuel tank, and in this model, it's a 14-gallon dual fuel tank, meaning you can either put kerosene or diesel fuel in there, and I did read in the manual that you can mix those fuels. So if you have a little bit of diesel left in the bottom, you can add kerosene on top of that. It will not affect the runnability. And what's great is that these fuels allow this heater to run with no CO2 emissions. It's safe to be inside. There's no fumes, there's no stink, none of that stuff. I run it in this room when I'm out here assembling products, bikes, working on things, and it is very quick to heat things up. But it's also very safe to run inside without ventilation. That is a must for any kind of garage or indoor application like I'm using it for. But you can also use this outdoors. It does radiate heat around it and does it quite well, even if you're not in a covered enclosed area. So other than the two legs on the front and back that the heater sets on, the only other thing you have to assemble is this front hood and grill. This is kind of a guard so that nobody obviously puts their hand up here. These two pieces in particular have extremely sharp edges. I would recommend wearing gloves when you install them. I didn't cut myself, but I could easily see how someone would. In fact, this hood portion comes flat in the box, and you have to bend it around the cone up front, which is not hard because you're putting self-tapping metal screws in the top and just kind of working your way down. But wear gloves, make sure you don't cut yourself. You don't want to make a mistake like that when putting something this simple together. Then you optionally can install this handle up top. No, this is not for you to pick the heater up with. It's extremely heavy. This would be to attach it to a loader or something if you wanted to pick it up and move it. Maybe you were on a job site and needed to get it to a second level and had some kind of jib or boom that you could lift it up there with. That's what this is for. Right here, you'll also see adjustments in the middle on both sides. These two wheels that you can screw in and out. You can loosen and tighten to adjust the tilt or angle of this heater. There's not a lot of play. I would call it maybe 4 to 5 inches total play, but you want to keep this level, and you can kind of use these to level things out wherever you're at. Be sure not to do this when it's hot. You want to do it when it's cold, and then you can tighten these up and loosen them as you need to kind of set your level for the heater. And then, of course, I've already mentioned this, but the front has two wheels. These are solid core wheels. They're not going to go flat. They're not filled with air. And on the back, we have two adjustable feet. You can use the 9/16 wrench included with the heater to raise and lower those feet, again, to find level, because this is not something you want to operate while it's tilted. The heater frame also has a generous handle on the back that folds down when it's not in use. It's got this little Velcro strap here that allows you to make sure that it stays in place, but also a pin that you can pull and lock out this handle to pick up and move the heater around, because it is heavy. Once it's locked into place, you can move it around on the two wheels, reposition it however you like. Then when you're where you want to be, just pull the pin and the handle goes back down, and you can make sure it goes nowhere with the Velcro strap. Now, turning on the heater and operating it for the first time is extremely easy. There's nothing complicated you have to do. For this model, it was recommended that I fill the tank with at least 5 gallons of fuel. So I put about 7 gallons of diesel fuel in the bottom tank. I noticed that less than 5 gallons, the level indicator would just set on E, but once I got over 5 gallons, it started to move. It has a 14-gallon tank, so I was almost halfway full with about 6 or 6.5 gallons of fuel. Then once you have the appropriate amount of fuel in to start, you just follow the directions that are right here on top. And for me, the only part that was difficult was locating the primer switch. It's not right here on the back of the blower. It is right over here. And it's black and it's a little hard to find, but I found it. There was a label there. All you do is hold that primer switch for up to 60 seconds. You'll hear the pump kick on, and that's circulating fuel throughout the system to make sure that it can ignite. Then when the pump kind of dies down in volume, then you're ready to go. You let go of the primer switch, you come back here, all you do is turn it on, just go from off to on, and within 15 seconds, the heater kicks on and starts. All right, so now that we've taken a look at the build quality, we've gone over the features and all of the components, let's go ahead and crank this heater up, turn it on, and see how she burns. All right, so before we start our test, I just want to verify that I have a nice heavy gauge extension cord plugged in here. I've run it back to the wall, nothing else plugged into that outlet. I don't want to overload things. Better safe than sorry. Back here on the control board, we've got the on-off switch next to the reset switch. But before we do that, we're going to come along to the front of the blower and we're going to prime the machine. So we're going to hold this for up to 60 seconds, it said. We're going to listen for the pump, and when it quiets down, that means we've got fuel properly circulated. So let's go. All right, I'm going to call that good because it was a little louder in the beginning. It's probably already well primed since I've test fired this earlier today. So now that we're primed, we're going to come here to our on-off switch. Simply kick it on. You'll hear the unit start. Hear the blower. Then we're going to fire up front. Should take about 15 seconds for this to fire up. There we go. And you'll see no smoke, no fumes, no nothing when it starts up. And you can hear just how quiet it is. It's a little louder out front, obviously, where the heat's being blown. But I really don't have to talk that loud. You can hear the blower in the back. But compared to some other heaters that I've seen through the years, this is a pretty quiet operation. You'll see the front kind of heating up here. I mean, it's already throwing out a sizable amount of heat. This is almost too hot to be at with the camera right here on the edge. But if you maintain a distance of about 3 feet, you can stay comfortable and still warm yourself. You don't want to get anywhere near the front of that, as everything is going to heat up. All right, and real quickly, let's go over the shutdown process now. It's been running for a few minutes. All we do is come to the back here to our control panel. We're simply going to turn this off. The flame will go away. You'll still hear the blower for several minutes afterwards. And again, you want to make sure that blower goes off before you ever unplug it. Allow it to continue to run and cool down and complete that cool down process. So from this angle here, you can really see the build quality on the Sunfire. I have been blown away by the tightness of the welds, the gauge of the steel, just the nice heavy-duty, sturdy feel of everything. It really feels like this is something I'm going to be able to pass down to my kids. Even where the fuel lines go in, it's just a really nice tight seam, and I love the way that American engineering and manufacturing looks in person up close. This is kind of a little electrical center here. I wanted to mention a few things. You have an indicator light here that you're plugged in, and this is your plug. Comes with a very short plug. I would call this a 1-foot plug out of the machine, which is nice because you simply need to add an extension cord. Make sure you have a good heavy gauge grounded extension cord, but you're not dragging a cord around. In fact, this does not reach the ground, so you can't run over it, because running over a cord with this heavy heater could damage the cord. So that's nice here. There's a little fuse right here along with, this is an electrical input for the thermostat output. So they give you this little cord here. You can actually take this out, plug this gray cord in and wire this to a thermostat so the unit will kick on and off at your desired temperature. So that's a nice little add-on if you want to do that yourself. But just a reminder, even if you have a thermostat hooked up, you never want to walk away from a heater like this for too long because it could be a fire hazard if something went wrong with your thermostat and the heater didn't shut off. Which brings me to another point. They actually have a fail-safe on this heater. If it were to tip over, it will shut off automatically. So there's safety features built in to keep you safe with this potentially dangerous machine. So again, the selling points for the Sunfire SF120 are quiet, no fumes, easy to operate, built in America, something you can have for years to come, and it's simple. All you have to do is flip the switch, it's on, it's off, and it's going to throw out a lot of heat to keep you warm in those winter months when you're out in your shop or your work site. So check it out for yourself. I really think you're going to like this one.